Rounding out question 2, we've got to rationalize the denominator. You see here, there's a square root in the denominator, so it's irrational. But over here, there's no square root in the denominator, so it's rational. So if they say show that in the question, you're only allowed to work with the one side. So we're going to grab this side and only be working with this side. And then to rationalize the denominator, I need to multiply by root 2 to get rid of this root 2. And whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. Okay, and then at the top, it's important to realize I'm multiplying this whole thing by root 2. So I'm instead going to wrap it in a bracket and distribute the root 2. Yeah, it's much better. Okay, 9 times root 2 is just 9 root 2. And then I'm going to say root 2 times root of 54. And then at the bottom, the 6 can chill there. And then I'm just going to say root 2 times root 2 next to that. I'll explain what to do in the next step. So in the next step, that 9 root 2 can stay as is. I can't really simplify that more because 2 is a prime number. And I'm going to be using third law 1 to simplify these two guys. So it states if I have two separate roots and I'm multiplying them, I can combine it into one big square root and multiply them together underneath the roots. So over here, 54 times 2 gives me 108. So I can simplify that to the square root of 108. And then at the bottom, I'm going to do a similar thing with these 2's. So I'm going to morph them into one square root with 2 times 2 underneath. That'll give me a 4. And the square root of 4 is just 2. So root 2 times root 2 just gives you 2. Okay, now the 9 root 2 is just going to chill. And then to simplify this root 108, I want to find the biggest perfect square that can fit inside of that. So let's have a look at our perfect squares. Okay, so if I analyze my perfect squares, I think the biggest one that can fit in is 36. Let's quickly just double check that. Alright, we're good, it fits in 3 times. So I can say 36 times 3. And at the bottom, 6 times 2 will give me 12. Okay, and then these two guys can just chill because I've simplified them all the way. Over here, I'm going to use a third law to split that up. Okay, and then just running through that third law one last time, I can split up my different factors into 2 separate square roots. So I'm going to split this up into the square root of 36 times the square root of 3. Right, and while we're here, the square root of 36 is just 6. Okay, and we are almost there. Now, I look at the top and I can see multiples of 3. 9 and 6 are both divisible by 3. So there's a highest common factor in the mix. And now we're going to quickly yoink that 3 out of there. So I'm going to put the 3 in front and then open up a bracket. Okay, and then 9 divided by 3 will just give me 3 and the root 2 stays glued to that. Okay, I'm going to keep the same sign because my common factor is positive. And 6 divided by 3 will give me 2. Yes, sis, how's it, but? And then we just clap that root 3 onto the 2 here and the over 12 will stay. And now there's one last thing left to do. I can cancel things on the outside of the brackets. So 3 can fit into 12 4 times. So the 3 will cancel and I'll be left with a 4 at the bottom. And additionally, these brackets can disappear because they're not being multiplied by anything anymore. And we've arrived at the final answer. And your 3 marks in this question, 1 will come from multiplying by that root 2 over root 2. The next will come from simplifying this mess into this pretty little thing. The 3rd mark comes from your factorization. And you don't get marks for this because they gave it to you.